One of my favorite quotes is from Henry David Thoreau, and he says, most men are living lives of quiet desperation. I like to add to that, they are white-knuckling through life. They are stressed, depressed, and anxious. They feel alone, overwhelmed, lost, and unfulfilled. Hey guys, welcome to the Bedros Keuilian Show. Today's episode is about exactly that, how to help you get out of this place of being stressed, depressed, and anxious. And I think I've got the blueprint, and I even know what got you here in the first place. So if you're a dude and you find yourself in this place of like anxiety, depression, overwhelm, stress, and you're like, I don't know how to get out of here, I've got the solution for you, but you are going to have to execute on the things that I coach you through here, right? And don't for a moment think that this is only for people that are broke, who are lost, and don't have a path, because as I coach grown-ass men during the Modern Day Night Project and dads who bring their sons to the Squire program, I see this in grown-ass men who are entrepreneurs, who are financially successful, that have what seem like from the outside a life of fulfillment and purpose, but in reality, they are overwhelmed, they are stressed, and they are dealing with anxieties. And here's what happens next. You end up kind of diving into vices. So whether you're financially successful or you are broke and in debt, don't think for a moment that you are not susceptible to this way of living, right? This is why Henry David Thoreau said, most men live lives of quiet desperation. And I really believe, as I've coached so many thousands of men over the last 15 years, I find that no matter what category of life they come from, former military, special operations, pro athletes, high performing CEOs and founders and visionaries, at some point they find themselves in this spot. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get to the reason for that in a second. But what shows up as a byproduct of that is this. And if you find yourself kind of in this, what I call the vice trap, this is probably what you're experiencing. And what are the big four vices? Now, there's a lot of vices out there, but I think I can break down the big four vices into vice number one, weed and alcohol, right? If you're really kind of dabbling with weed and alcohol and you know that you shouldn't, and you know that it's negatively impacting you, weed and alcohol is just another way of escaping and avoiding the things that are causing you pain in your life, right? So if you're experiencing pain and frustration and friction, and you know there's things you should do to become congruent with the version of the man that you want to be, but you are trying to avoid and you're trying to escape that, you're probably using a good amount of weed and alcohol on a daily, weekly basis. And if you find yourself overeating, well, that's usually a byproduct of someone who's trying to numb themselves, or they have an issue where they're trying to avoid something, right? So if you're overeating, it's really a byproduct of kind of self-hate and numbing. If I can just numb myself by getting this dopamine from eating high carb, high fat foods, it will help alleviate the problem for now, only to agitate the problem even bigger down the line, because you feel like you're just damaging your body, poisoning yourself, and not doing anything good to lead a purpose-driven life. So overeating is numbness and self-hate, which means then the next vice, porn, OnlyFans, chasing girls who are broken, and you're just trying to get laid over and over again, and you're really spending a lot of time basically chasing pussy in whatever form, porn, OnlyFans, or in person. That is a byproduct of having low self-worth and therefore seeking out validation. And of course, if you are screen sucking on social media and playing video games hours on end, then what are you doing? Distraction and procrastination, right? So you show me someone who's really dabbling with a lot of weed and alcohol, I'll show you someone who's trying to escape and avoid the reality. You show me someone who's overeating, I'll show you someone who is numbing themselves and has a high amount of self-hate. And therefore, there's some healing that they need to do because they hate themselves. They're punishing themselves by overeating. You don't look at it that way, but that's exactly what's happening. You show me someone that's chasing pussy, OnlyFans, pornography, broken girls just to get laid or whatever. Well, you have low self-worth and you're looking for validation from a female, which you're never going to get it. The best form of validation comes from within, self-validation. And if you're all up on social media wasting time, the average American wastes 3 hours a day just on social media. I'm not even counting television and video games that you're playing. Then you're looking for distractions and procrastination from the things that you need to be doing. So why are these four vices so prevalent in men? Well, it's simple, because you're missing out what I feel is the solution to this. And the solution for most men is this: get jacked, make money, develop or find purpose. Because any dude who is investing time, energy, and effort in getting lean and jacked, that means you're working out 5, 6, 7 days a week on a consistent basis. You are dialing in your macros, your proteins, fats, and carbs, and you're watching exactly what you're eating and how it's showing up on your body. You're getting leaner, you're defining your muscles, you're developing strength, right? Maybe you're doing some kind of combatives, boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu on top of that. And so now you've got some form of community in the process of getting lean and jacked. And you are now focused on building strength and muscular endurance and cardiovascular capacity. Guess what? I've never seen someone who is getting healthier, leaner, more jacked, more athletic. I've never seen them get more depressed, get more anxious, get more stressed. You show me anyone who starts investing in their health and fitness, and I will show you degrees and margins of improvement in their life. Sometimes, most times, in fact, monumental leaps of improvement and clarity and happiness and focus. Where does that come from? Well, think about it. The number one thing that you can control in your life is what goes in your mouth, and then where you go, what time you wake up, and where you go to work out and exercise, whether it's the park to do pull-ups and sprints, or whether it's to the gym, or you go find a training center and you do boxing or MMA or jiu-jitsu. You can control all of that, right? And men who don't control the controllables end up very depressed, anxious, and stressed. And then what they do is they start diving into all those vices, the traps, to distract and to escape and to avoid and to self-hate and to find validation externally, because they can't validate themselves because they can't even keep a fucking promise to themselves. If you're one of those men who say, I'm going to start eating right and getting lean and jacked, and then you don't, you're breaking a promise to yourself. A man who breaks a promise to himself is eroding his own reputation with himself. Think about that. Your reputation is your credit score with yourself, right? Your reputation is your credit score with others. And so if you are the kind of dude who is making a promise that you're going to make a commitment to yourself, I'm going to start eating right, I'm going to start working out, I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to stop smoking weed, I'm going to start doing all these things, I'm going to get off the porn channels and OnlyFans accounts, and I'm going to start doing things that make me feel proud of myself, that make me feel like I'm the kind of man that I would respect, and then you don't do those things, that is hypocrisy at the highest level. And study after study after study show that a man who is a liar, who doesn't follow through on his promises, who is a hypocrite, is the type of man who has the highest level of anxiety, depression, and stress. And so when I say get jacked, make money, and find purpose, and you will solve all of these issues, this is why I tell you, like when at the project or at the Squire program, when I meet dads who are like, yeah, you know, I have a real estate investor, or I own a chain of restaurants, or I do this thing and I make a lot of money. But then I could tell in private conversations, when I have conversations with them, man, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm you know, sleeping in, and I just feel like I'm in a funk and I'm depressed, and I start digging and digging and digging. They're missing either one or two, some dudes, three of these things, right? So just because they're making money doesn't mean that they're jacked. They probably have the money to buy back their time to get jacked. They have the money to get a personal trainer and a nutrition coach to get jacked, but they haven't fully followed through with the commitment. And that stress and anxiety and depression that you're feeling, that's your conscience eating away at you and telling you, hey, homeboy, hop to it, get to work. You got fat, gelatinous titties, you got stretch marks all around your belly button. Your clothes look like they're a fucking moo-moo on a man who's shaped like a pear or a pumpkin. And we know you're not proud of yourself. And this is why your conscience starts making you depressed, anxious, and stressed. And what do you do instead? Well, you're trying to escape from it. Let me just smoke some weed. Let me drink some alcohol. Let me overeat and distract myself because it's self-hate. Let me go ahead and play some video games and watch some TV and screw around on social media, right? Which is another form of distraction and procrastination. Or you know what? I know how I can feel good about myself. I can go on OnlyFans or a porn channel or start chasing hookers and pussy and all this shit. And I'm sharing this with you because a man who doesn't get jacked, make money, and find purpose is going to end up ruining his life. And great men who are awesome husbands, who have the capacity to be great parents, fathers, leaders, mentors, end up absolutely ruining their lives because they think that they can somehow skirt these three things. So I'm telling you right now, if you want to get over these issues of anxiety, depression, and stress, where you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't feel any sense of fulfillment, you feel alone in life, you feel like no one understands you, you're just kind of faking it through life, the people around you who love you, they can tell. They don't know how to help you, but they can tell that you're struggling. You can start helping yourself. Get your ass up and start getting to the gym. Start eating clean. Figure out what your macros should be, your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. How many grams of each do I need to achieve my desired body fat percentage, my desired body weight? How much strength do I want to gain? How flexible do I want to be? How much endurance do I want to have, right? And if you start doing these things, even 3 days a week, eat right, 5, 6, 7 days a week, but at least start working out minimum of 3 days a week and then build it up to 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, because you will start getting the rewards in the form of results. And then you will start doing more of those things to get more of those positive rewards. And the more you get positive rewards by getting jacked, making money, and finding purpose, the less you do the alcohol, weed, overeating, pornography, social media, screen sucking, video games, and all that shit, right? So the second thing is make money. Now, if you're like, well, I make money, I pay my bills, I get food on the table. Listen, the average American, especially the average American male who's married and has kids, has a negative net worth. That means your financial net worth is lower than someone who is, let's say, a child who doesn't have any net worth. Because a child just relies on their parents, right? So if you've got kids, your kids have a higher net worth in terms of money than you do if you're in debt. So when I say make money, I mean find ways to create multiple income streams. Find ways to add value to people's lives in the form of solutions to problems that will help people who have these problems, and they'll pay you to solve the problems in their life. And no one says you have to make a product. You could start with a service. You could start selling other people's things. You could start doing content by literally starting to help yourself. You can start creating content on how you are changing and transforming your life. And your platform on YouTube and a podcast show and Instagram can get so big that you can start making side cash by promoting other people's things, right? But the excuse I hear from men over and over and over again is, man, I have this job, I make good money, but the bills are too high and the expenses and whatever. You're never going to save yourself to wealth. You have to start making more money. This is why I say make more money. Get jacked, make more money, and find purpose. Because a man who's jacked and lean, has abs, he is proud of himself. He can't wait to get up and start chasing his next best version, right? And then if you are making money, the stress of being in debt, the stress of having bills piling up, the stress of trying to figure out whether you're going to take your kids on a tiny little staycation or you're going to be able to take your family on a really awesome vacation somewhere, all that stress goes away when you start making more money and managing that money. And I share this with you because if you are not getting jacked and making money, then you're not going to have the next thing that men need, which is the third and final thing, which is purpose, to find purpose. Because if we can get jacked, make money, and find purpose, the only way we can find purpose is if we are proud of ourselves, right? A man who's addicted to alcohol and weed, a man who's overeating, a man who's all up on pornography and OnlyFans and chasing hookers, a dude who is just screen sucking on social media, TV, and video games, he's not going to be purpose-driven. He's doing all these things that make you feel bad about himself, right? Like if you feel bad about yourself, you feel like, man, I'm not congruent. I'm not doing the things that I would teach my son to do. You're not going to go and try and find purpose. You're going to do everything you can to continue to distract yourself and avoid yourself from the realities that you're in. And so if you can start getting jacked, if you can start making more money, now you start developing more confidence. And a man who's got confidence, a man who's no longer a hypocrite, who follows through with what he says, is a man who is going to get shit done. And if you start getting shit done and making money and getting fit, then all of a sudden purpose begins to show up. How does purpose show up for most of us? Service through servitude. As men, we want to be able to serve people, right? We want to be able to serve an industry. We want to be able to help solve problems. We want to be able to help change the course of someone's life in a better way. And so for me, purpose is making enough money to not only take care of the people who work with me and for me, but also to take care of my family. And in that, the excess that I have, I get to invest and create generational wealth for my kids. And even beyond that, guess what I get to do? I get to give money to Shriners Children's Hospital. And that makes me feel so good. It's part of my purpose, right? Setting up my kids to win in life is part of my purpose. Making sure that my team gets paid well and has the ability to scale their own income is part of my purpose. Helping out Shriners Children's Hospital and Toys for Tots every Christmas, buying tens of thousands of dollars of toys every Christmas through our companies, and making sure that kids who would not have a Christmas gift that year all of a sudden have at least a gift to open up. That gives me a sense of purpose. But unless I feel good about myself and unless I make a surplus of money, I can't go out and serve humanity. Not my family, not my team and my employees, and certainly not the charities and causes and the things that I believe in. And when a man is purpose-driven and he's doing something to serve a cause that means something to him, and when a man is making money to the point where he's not in debt and he's adding a surplus in the bank and he's investing in the things that he knows can appreciate in value. Maybe you're buying businesses at some point like I do right now. Maybe you're going to start investing in like the top 100 stocks, right? I mean, hell, if you just, and I am not a stockbroker, don't consider this investing advice, but if you just start investing in the companies that you buy from, Apple, Walmart, Target, Amazon, right? You just start investing in those companies that you do business with. Think about just those 4 companies that I listed off. Netflix, right? Those 5 companies. You put a certain fixed dollar amount in every day, or that's called dollar cost averaging, or let's say every month you put in a couple $100 and you do that for the next 10 years, you just started to like create a wealth of money for yourself and for your bloodline that can't be competed with. And you think a couple $100, what's that going to do? A couple $100 a month compounded over a decade? Holy smokes. That is an obscene amount of money that you are going to have sitting there for yourself in the future, for your family. God forbid a rainy day or some kind of tragedy happens in your family, you can be there to help and support. And a man who has the capacity to make money and to be there for his family with money, that feels good, man. That is the modern day way of hunting. Like back in the caveman days, men would hunt and drag home the saber-toothed tiger to eat. The modern day version of that is to make enough money to be able to have a roof over your head, to be able to eat, to be able to stay out of debt, to pay your bills, to take care of the people that you love, to put money towards investments that will safeguard your future and the future of your family, your kids. And on top of that, to be able to give to charities and causes in the church that you believe in. That is a purpose-driven life. And a man who has purpose, a man who makes money, and a man who has his fitness, who is happy with the way he looks and feels naked in the mirror, that dude's not screen sucking on social media and trying to distract himself and create procrastination funnels for himself. He's not trying to overeat just so he could have some sense of like momentary state of dopamine, but in reality, it's self-hate at its highest. Like when you're overeating, it's the slowest form of suicide that I could think of. If you are overeating, that's really what you're doing. You're slowly killing yourself. You're clogging up your arteries. You're increasing the chance of high blood pressure, of diabetes, of stroke. And therefore, you're going to traumatize your family, your kids, the people that love you earlier, and you become a burden on them. You become this massive burden on them because you chose to eat away your pain, to try and use food as a way to numb yourself and to self-hate. The reason you hate yourself is because you're not living congruently as the man that you want to be. And the reason that is happening is because you keep breaking fucking promises to yourself. And a man who breaks promises to himself is a hypocrite. And there ain't a single hypocrite I know out there who's really happy with themselves and has a restful night's sleep and really feels like they're on the right path of fulfillment and purpose in life. So there's your answer, my friends. Instead of using weed and alcohol to escape and avoid, instead of overeating, instead of porn and OnlyFans and hookers and all this shit with social media that you're screen sucking and wasting time and distracting yourself and creating points of procrastination, start getting lean and jacked. Start figuring out how to make money. The information is available to you on podcasts just like this, on YouTube, and like, God damn, you're spending money on things that you shouldn't be spending money on just to get a dopamine hit. Spend that money on buying a course, getting some level of coaching, going to an event